Sock. Tony McGill shares about the chemistry between wife Caitiriona Balfe and Sam Heughan. The man behind the lens. Tony McGill is a music producer, living a private life, rarely appearing in the media. For many years, people only knew him as the husband of Caitiriona Balfe, the star of the famous Outlander series. However, behind that silence is a heart that has experienced many struggles. Tony is not a jealous person. He understands the nature of his wife's profession, emotional scenes, long-lasting lip touches, passionate eyes on the big screen. But the excessive chemistry between Caitiriona and Sam Heughan began to make him wonder, what is acting, and what is sincere? The moment that made her husband cold. On an autumn evening in 2022, Tony visited the Outlander set in Scotland. He walked in quietly, no one recognized him. As he stood behind the monitor, he caught a still. Claire, Caitiriona, and Jamie, Sam, sitting by the fireplace. Not a sex scene, not a tearful scene, just a simple husband-wife scene. But what made Tony shiver was not the dialogue, but the look. You know, Jamie, when I touched you, the world stopped. Sam read the lines. But the way he looked at Caitiriona, not Jamie looking at Claire, but like a man looking at the woman he loved. And the scariest thing? Caitiriona looked back the same way. The conversation between the three. After the scene, Tony took the initiative to invite Sam out for a beer. They never talked privately. The atmosphere was quite pleasant at first, until Tony suddenly asked, "Sam, did you ever love my wife?" Sam was silent. He put down his beer. After a long moment, he answered, "I never loved her in a way that could be called romantic, Tony. But, I can't deny, there were days when I wanted to." The air was heavy with lead. "What about her?" Tony asked, eyes unblinking. "She always kept her boundaries, but I'm not sure if it was moral, or if she didn't dare cross the line." Diary not to read. A week later, Tony accidentally read a diary entry Caitiriona had written in an old script. The page contained a handwritten line, "There are emotions that can only exist in a fantasy world. But sometimes, I wonder, in another world, what would have happened to me and Sam?" Tony closed the notebook. He wasn't angry, just disappointed, because the words were so painfully honest. Chapter 5. The Choice. A month later, Caitiriona finished filming. She returned to Dublin, to Tony. They sat in the familiar kitchen. Tony was silent for a long time, then asked, "I know you and Sam have never crossed the line. But are you sure you never wanted to?" Caitiriona didn't answer right away. But instead of denying it, she took his hand. "Tony, I love you. But I won't pretend that there isn't something special between me and Sam. Maybe it's a connection, maybe it's a different version of myself that only exists when I'm with him. But you're the one I've chosen to spend the rest of my life with, first time sharing." Nearly a year later, in a rare interview, Tony McGill shared publicly about that experience for the first time. "I'm not afraid of my wife getting along with her co-star. What scares me is when the way they look at each other makes me wonder, am I the third person in my own marriage?" The shocking statement immediately went viral on social media. Many criticized, many sympathized. But most importantly, it was the truth that he could no longer hide, the unsent letter. At the end of the story, Tony writes a letter, never to be given to Caitiriona. "My love, I know that feelings have no clear boundaries. I have never blamed you for having been moved, because in fact, I was too. But the fact that you choose to come back each time, that proves that not everyone who makes our hearts flutter is the one we should be attached to. You are home. As for Sam, perhaps he will always be just a beautiful wind.